Hey folks, have you ever felt like your life is an episode of a sitcom where you have a life-altering problem that gets solved after only 30 minutes and a group hug? Well, me neither. Welcome to Head Games. Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is a Zombie Apocalypse, and in this reality where I sell furniture for a living, they just call me Steve.
Gang, Jet here. I'm still holding out hope that we'll see Wanda again in the MCU because off-screen deaths do not count. My alternate universe name is Tim.
Clearly, they've never watched Game of Thrones because off-screen deaths are never deaths.
Yep.
Clearly. Thank you for joining us today on the Head Games Commander podcast, where we spotlight some of our favorite commanders from all of Magic the Gathering. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone that has subscribed to us. It really means a lot to us. We hit a huge milestone of 500 plus subscribers very recently, and it just brings joy into my heart. And but back to our regularly scheduled program. Do all the important YouTube things because I would like to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Do it now. So Tim, who are we shining our spotlight on today?
Today, we are spotlighting the Scarlet Witch. This episode, we'll do what we always do on the podcast. We will talk about the Scarlet Witch. One of us built a deck. We played it a little bit. We're going to talk about the cards. Mm-hmm. What do we like about it? What do we not like about it? What are some good cards in each of the categories? If you've been tuning in for this long, you know what we're here to do today. So today's deck was built by our friend Zombie over here. It is from the Marvel Superheroes main set, and it is the Scarlet Witch, not the Scarlet Witch with other, additions. It's the mono
just
red
the
one.
Scarlet Witch.
Just the Scarlet Witch, because as in the Universe Beyond form that we've seen Wizards use so much lately, instead of putting a bunch of different characters, they did multiple versions of the same set of characters, which is incredibly annoying, by the way. Wizards, quit it. Do different characters, please, instead of multiple cards for the same character. Anyway, today we're spotlighting the Scarlet Witch. We're gonna start by passing it back over to Steve and asking, where he's gonna review the commander, tell us all about it, give us the kind of the rule zero conversation. So tell us about your commander. What's the rule zero?
Alrighty, the Scarlet Witch is a 3-mana legendary creature, mutant warlock hero. And she says, instants and sorceries with mana value 4 or greater cost X less to cast, where X is the Scarlet Witch's power. When you have such a good ramp piece in your commander, it's going to be scary. I intended to make this deck as... I think it could be more broken. But I wanted to make it strong. I really wanted to just... This is me doing my villain arc, okay? I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Storm. Love it. And every opportunity that I get to make a Storm deck, I try to want to, but they never stick around long enough for me to keep playing. And there's a very good reason. We'll go into that a little bit later. But so I wanted to see what Mono Red Storm could do in Commander, and this was the perfect commander to do it. So the rule zero is this is a 4. Please target me. Do not let her live. Like, just hands down, don't let her live. It's a bad idea. And in the gameplay, they let her live. And you'll see what happens. So
yeah. Just despite all my best attempts, there was not enough interaction at the table to keep this deck down. So it is definitely stronger than it looks. Even though it does, it's punching at a 4, but really, there's one game changer.
Jessica's
and
will,
it really
right?
It just goes to show that the synergy matters more. Like, the game changers are not the only thing that does it. I'm not even sure that it has any actual 2-card combos or anything. And it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily go infinite. It just creates such a value loop that you end up continuing to be able to take additional game actions for a very, very long time and creating inevitability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I say this is a 4 is because while playtesting, presuming no one killed my commander, I'm on average winning on turn 4.
Yeah, it's the speed. Yep.
The speed is what makes this a 4. Now that also makes it quite glass cannony, right? Like I can still do things without my commander. Well, we'll go into that here in just a little bit. But yeah, the deck is really, really strong, and it's quite frankly really resilient because like it's hard to interact with, right? It's like you have to counter the important spells, but which spells are the important spells? You have to keep my commander off the board, but the cool thing is I can just keep recasting my commander. And then like there's only 12 creatures in the whole entire list. Yeah, including my commander, there's 12 creatures in the entire list. So there's not really much that sticks on the board that you can really deal with, right? So this is a very like board wipes don't matter. Border wipes really don't matter in this list. Or like if they happen, I'll just recast my commander and start all over. So it's quite resilient, and it was a lot more fun to play than I was expecting. And the only problem that I have with this, and I'm just going to dive into it now, is I love Storm decks, but I don't like monopolizing everybody's time. Right? It's kind of a feel bad on me if I'm taking a 20-minute turn and then just say, "Oh, I win." So that's why I don't play these decks very often, but I do love to play them.
I'll just add to that. It's way worse if you take 20 minutes and don't win.
Right. Now,
like that's the feel bad, is to like watch you go off and kind of spin your wheels and then end up fizzling. That like everybody,
which can happen
at that point, because you just took a whole long time, and it's what disincentivizes a lot of people from this now from playing decks like this is that like there is that opportunity where you may end up taking an enormous amount of time and then not actually doing anything. And I just took a bunch of game actions and just everybody just sat there and watched me do it for a while. So now, that is something that I think blocks some people from wanting to play a list like this.
So this is something that I want to bring up, and it's really important that you practice this deck.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made it not so bad when we played it in a group of people, because I probably play tested this deck more than any other deck that I have. Maybe Sammy Wildcat Captain was another one that I kind of practiced a lot, because since the game plan is so, I don't want to call it linear, but like since so many different things can happen and you're looking at so many cards, it's really important for you to know what cards are the important cards to cast and when you want to cast those cards. So a lot of the times the cards that I'm casting are just saying, hey, either exile cards or draw cards, create mana. Like that's what I'm doing. So knowing the order in which to play them is, I can't say it is so important. And since I've played Storm so many times in my life, like this kind of deck like comes natural to me. Like we joked about it in the game that we played. I took a really long turn, but it was only 8 minutes, but I did like 20 game actions because I just knew this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. And like, the cool thing is you can kind of plan ahead. Now, the turn that you're storming off, you can't pre-plan too much, but like you can plan, like, I'm going to get like this particular piece out first, and you can start your turn, and usually once your wheels are spinning, it doesn't matter what you're casting, because the amount of value that you're getting from discounting your cards so much. And usually there's a card that says, hey, when you cast something you get a red mana. Well, if everything costs only 1 red, and like you can just say, oh, I'm casting this, and there's like not too many game actions that you're doing, even though you're casting a lot of spells. There's not like, oh, I need to tap this or
yeah, but casting a spell is a game action. Like that.
What I meant is like you're not like having to like organize your board 100 times in the middle of all this. You're like, hey, I have something that's keeping track of my mana. I have something that's keeping track of my storm, and that's really all you need. Because eventually you're gonna have 10 mana floating, so you can just say, okay, I'm using 3, gaining 2. Here's my storm.
I feel obligated on behalf of the listeners to immediately push back on everything that you just said and tell you that it took you 6 minutes to explain what you just did. So that's what playing against this deck is like.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You say it's not complicated, and you are absolutely insane. That is not true. It is complicated. You are just used to doing it.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right.
Walking through all of the motions, and again, because you don't know what the line's going to be the same every time, you do have to make decisions. And as you're making those decisions, what sequence that you're playing everything in is going to make some of the choices actually wrong.
Right.
And that's going to make it very difficult for you to keep making the right choice every time. So, and like, I agree, practice the deck, learn to play with it, but it's also what makes it probably not fun to play multiple times is that like really and we talked about this before we started recording, like the deck doesn't have that many win cons in it. So it's going to win pretty much the same way every time. It's just trying to get to that enormous amount of value to win. And that's probably true about a lot of decks, that they actually have a similar way of winning most of the time. It's very true about this deck. It's uniquely true about this deck, I think.
Well, I think what makes it even more true about this deck is a lot of the cards do the same thing.
That's right.
I have 3 copies of Big Score in here. I mean, they're not Big Score, but I have 3 copies of Big Score, right? I have bigger versions of Big Score. I have smaller versions of Big Score. So like it all does the same stuff. Like Electro adds a red when I cast a spell. Bergie adds a red when I cast a spell. Ashling adds 4 red if I cast 3 spells. Like Runaway Steamkin adds red. Oh my god. Stormkill Martis adds treasures.
Do all of your creatures generate mana value? The answer is almost.
Almost. Very close to all. One will kill you, and then one will kill me if I'm not doing things right.
So I fundamentally agree that the deck it was surprisingly resilient in that game. And I like what we talked about and what I pointed out before is that like some of your engine pieces are much harder to restore than your commander is.
Correct.
So any of your creature based mana value generation, if those things do get removed, it is going to slow you down.
Yep.
And if you have any creature based damage, like removing those things or keeping those things in check is going to be effective against you. But all that said, the deck is incredibly explosive. You get so much mana advantage by having a 3 mana commander that discounts all of your 4 mana spells by 2 right off the rip, and then more if you make her bigger. So it really makes it makes the deck go so fast that, you know, when you're fish bowling, you win on turn 4. I also think that because it's a new commander, and if you just read it on its face, I think that people might underassess this as a threat. And really, like you even said it in the game, like, hey, listen, this is going to be very strong. And I was very adamant about saying we should all really gang up on him as much as we can. And to their credit, I think everybody did try. And still the deck came out on top because of how powerful it is. You said something earlier that I do want to disagree with, though, is that you said that it's hard to interact with. And I disagree. I think that like in that game was a poor sample size because no one interacted with you. I interacted with you, and the little bit of interaction that I did,
it slowed me down 3 turns. 100%.
You just because the other people at the table weren't interacting with you in the same way, because like this deck is weak to counter magic.
Oh, 100%.
Like if somebody counters your commander and then counters it again, what are you doing? So it is weak to counter magic, and you don't really have a way to deal with that. And really, I think it's weak to targeted creature removal as well. We just didn't see enough of it in that game. If other creatures had been removed, or if there had been an actual board wipe that removed the actual threat creatures on the board, things may have gone differently. And there are specific hate pieces that are going to be very hard for you to deal with, like any enchantment that makes it so you can only cast one spell a turn.
Ugh.
Which, again, like, that's a very specific hate piece, and a lot of decks are not running that, but you are going to have a very hard time dealing with that. So, and last but not least, the only other weakness, and we did mention it already, was after looking over the list, I don't think there's enough actual win conditions in it.
I because you said that today, and I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because like I shouldn't have to look at 47 cards to find one or two cards that win me the game.
That's right.
Because like in that game, I looked at half my deck. We had two cards that would 100% win me the game. Well, maybe four, because Empty the Warrens can win you the game if you give them haste, right? Which I can. Ignite Memories, not a great way to win, but we'll get into those cards later. We're getting very distracted.
So far off track, like completely off the rails.
Because I didn't even segue into the strengths and weaknesses. We just started talking about the strengths and weaknesses.
We have warped into a completely new reality where everything is on its head. So in the next section, we talk about the basics, and the basics are the traditional categories that every commander deck wants to have to improve the consistency of your deck. These are the fundamentals, the kind of cards you need to play so you can play the cards that you want to play. So I'm gonna let Steve give us the numbers of the basics and the categories, and then we'll talk about some cards.
Man, I love these numbers. So in card draw, I have 16. Ramp, I have 28. Single target interaction, we have 11-ish. And then mass interaction, I have 7.
Big numbers, all good.
Big numbers. And the only reason why I said 11-ish, and I'm going to spoil it now, the 1-ish is you pay 50 life to hit something for 50. I'm probably never going to do that, but it's an option.
Okay, that's a funny-ish.
I had to bring it up. Anyway, so now that we've gone over the numbers, let's go ahead and talk about some of the cards that fit in this category. So, Tim, what is the card draw pick that you picked?
What's remarkable about this is that there are a number of cards that actually say draw cards in the deck, but they are all very, very obvious. They are all of the big scores and the things that look like it. And I didn't want to do that. I want to do something that gave you card advantage. And this card is absolutely amazing, especially with some of the other cards that you're going to talk about later on, I know for sure. And it is Improvisation Capstone. This is the paradigm lesson in red from Secrets of Strixhaven. Fantastic card. Play it in all of your red decks. It's amazing. 7 mana. It's a sorcery. It says exile cards from the top of your library till you exile cards with a total mana value of 4 or greater. You may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana cost. And then it paradigms, which means if it resolves, it goes to the exile zone and you get to cast it again every turn on your first main phase. And it just gets you an enormous amount of value. It is card advantage in its
love this card.
Yep, so good.
It's just really good in this list too, because like
it's a spin the wheel card. You don't know what you're going to get from it, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
You're very often going to hit a low mana value card and then a high mana value card, or maybe you just hit a 4 off the rip right the very first time. But if you're casting a 4 mana spell, any of the 4 mana spells in this list for free, that's fine. I'll take it.
Works for me.
Didn't do anything else, but it's important to note that you do cast this spell during that whole process.
My storm card starts at 2 minimum.
Yeah, it starts at 2 before you do anything at all. First main phase, Improvisation Capstone, cast at least 1 spell off of it, starting at 2 at the bare minimum. Also very notable, starting with a 7 mana value spell,
which is insane. It can be. Yep. It can be. Yeah. What a good card, man. We've talked about this card, I'm pretty sure, like 3 weeks in a row, and there's a reason why. This card is incredible. So the card draw.
I just want to say that like all the paradigm spells have proven to be good.
Oh yeah.
Every single one of them. This one is a card advantage one, and so is the black one. So I think
Mhm.
that they make the top of the list. But all of them in a commander game where you're likely to get multiple
Mhm.
spins of it,
Mhm.
they're all solid.
Yeah. Well, I like this card too because like there's times where I'm casting this for 2 red
Yep.
pretty easily.
Mm.
just think of a world.
And that's right. Like you're getting mana acceleration at that point on top of getting card acceleration.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Man, this deck is so cool. Anyway, we're going to go into my card draw pick. And the card draw pick I did was Will of the Jeskai. It is a 4 mana sorcery and it says choose one. If you control your commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both instead. And the first one is each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards. And then each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until the end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Look, guys. The fact that this wheel says, hey, they don't have to do it, makes everyone feel better. But this is also like draw 12. Because like I'm going to have instants and sorceries in my graveyard. And then now they're all going to cost dirt cheap. Because one of those spells are probably a pump spell. And I'm just going to pump her again and go hog wild. Dude, this card is a game changer specifically in this list. This is one of the ones that I want to see. And this isn't the first card draw spell I want to see. This is like the 5th or 6th one I want to see. And it's so good. Because like just in a normal world, I'm playing Will of Jeskai. For 1 mana, I'm now going to cast Big Score. For 1 more mana, I'm going to cast Pirates Booty or whatever it's called, which is just the same thing as Big Score. Like when I get to say, oh, I get to play any of these 20 cards, the game is over. You're just waiting for me to figure it out. Yeah. This card is really good. Counter it if you see it. Specifically in this deck list. So the ramp cards are really good, and Tim picked a good one. But I have like 6 cards that do the same thing. But this one,
it's true.
I like this one probably. I think I like Bergie just a hair more because it costs 1 less.
That's all there is to it. A lot of the other ones are cheaper or do something that I would argue is better. I just wanted to showcase a new card.
Yeah.
So the new card is the Vision and Scarlet Witch, 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature. It's a mutant hero. It's got flying. Whenever you cast a spell, guys, it
doesn't matter what it is.
Add red mana to your pool. Put a +1/+1 counter on the Vision and Scarlet Witch. So it is slightly better in that regard that it is any spell. A lot of these things only proc off of instants and sorceries, but in this case, like this gets absolutely every spell that you cast. Other creatures get it, artifacts get it, absolutely everything gets it. So it is slightly better in that way. And then it is 4 mana, so it comes down a little bit later, but still just a very, very powerful card. This is one of those cards though that because it is only, I believe, available in the Jumpstart packs for Marvel, it's crazy expensive.
Oh, I thought that was in the precon.
No, I don't believe that's true.
I thought that was the precon symbol. The M with the
It's both. It's both. It's that is both the Jumpstart and the precon symbol, which is what's confusing everybody.
Why would they do that to me? Because they did it specifically to me, right? Like,
they did, and it's because they're just sick and tired of your attitude.
Yeah, I know. I have said some mean things, and I don't know if I can apologize for it.
And I don't feel bad about it. Yeah. So here's the Vision of the Scarlet Witch. Listen, it's not worth $70.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I am, and that's what Moxfield is telling me right now as I'm looking at this. That's, I mean, give or take, plus or minus a certain amount. But all of the mythics in the Jumpstart are really hard to find. As people open the Jumpstart, they will get easier and easier to find. But there's a couple of Jumpstart mythics that are like 50, 60, $70, and this one's way up there. So listen, it's a good card. It is
I
not
don't-
worth $70.
I don't think it's $70
You can
good.
you can find something else that does something similar. But I just wanted to show you the card. Here it is. It's over there. Look at it.
It's
That's
pretty.
a new card.
All right. So we have talked about this card in the past before, and it's been a while since we talked about it. But it's funny how when I talk about this card, it's always based off of being able to reduce the cost of it, and it makes it so good. We're talking about Inspired Tinkering. It is 4 and a red. It's a sorcery. It says exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Create 3 treasure tokens. So in a world where I play 1 pump spell that gives +3 plus whatever, this costs 1 red. Because most of my pump spells give +3 plus whatever. But anyway, costs 1 red. It gives me 3 mana. And 3 spells I can potentially cast on top of it. God, this card is bonkers when you can reduce the cost of it. God, what would Witherbloom do with this with this card?
It's bonkers when you don't reduce the cost.
Yeah.
It's good for 5 mana.
Yeah.
Because you get to cast the cards all the way until the end of your next turn, and you get 3 treasures. So there's so many decks that definitely want this card.
You get to play lands off of it too.
Yeah, you get to. Yeah, if you hit 3 lands, you're boned by 1 card. But if you haven't played your land yet this turn, if you hit 2, you get to play 1 this turn and 1 next turn, and you're golden. So really easy to not whiff on this. It's just it's another version of Big Score, just more.
Just more for only 1 mana more. And I feel like, it's a uncommon. It looks like it's only like a 10-cent card. I don't expect like this to go in every red deck. But like, if you have some sort of like ramp included in, like, no, this card's just good. Just play this card. Just do it. Okay.
It's probably $2, but play this card.
Play it. Alrighty. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into the single targeted interaction. It's funny how like there is a lot, but like they're not amazing.
They're not good.
Because like when you're playing Storm, this is going to sound horrible, but when you're playing Storm, you don't give a dang what the other player's doing. Like as a commander player, like I need to follow some rules. But like if I could remove those 11 spells and put something else in to just make it go even faster, I'm all for it. It's
very conditional. It really is. Like if you're playing at a commander pod where everybody is playing the requisite amount of interaction and where everybody is consistently interacting with what you're doing, then you care.
Yes.
Like when you see, something like high noon across the table from you, you're going to care. So like that's when you're going to want interaction. So like you do need it, and when you're trying to go off and you've got it in your hand and you don't have anything that you need to remove because your opponents aren't doing anything that's interacting with your board, it feels bad. But if you're playing again in an interactive game, you're going to miss it.
Also, just like with the amount of cards that this deck is going to see in a single playthrough, well, in a single game, it's okay to have a couple cards that might not necessarily do what you want at that moment. But here's also a cool thing about a lot of my single targeted interaction. It can be targeting players.
Some of it, that's true. That's true.
So like, so we'll go into yours first, and then we'll talk about mine. But yours is incredible in this list.
And really a good option for colors that aren't usually able to remove things like enchantments. So I thought that this was a good include and a creative include in this case. And it's Zuko's Exile. This is a 5 mana instant. That's also a lesson. That doesn't matter probably. And it says exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment as controller creates a clue token. So 5 mana is a lot, but as we've already established, the whole point of this deck is to reduce the cost. There's a very real chance that you're casting this for free. And exiling an artifact, creature, or enchantment and giving your opponent a clue in exchange that they have to pay to draw the card, no big deal at all. It's actually very solid, especially considering that you are very, very likely going to cast this for free. So
a lot of the times when I'm casting this, either I'm getting a really important creature out of my way so I can kill somebody, or I'm winning that turn anyway, so the clue doesn't matter.
The clue, I'm just going to argue that the clue never matters.
Right.
That like giving your opponent a clue in exchange for destroying the most important thing on their board.
Not just destroying, exile.
Not just destroying, exiling.
Yeah.
So like really it never matters. It's
right.
The downside on that, the only downside to this card is its mana value, is that it costs 5.
Right.
And so this deck gets around that in the command zone.
I'm casting it for 3, like easiest. That's the floor. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 7 mana spell that does just exile target permanent. I was thinking about throwing it in the list, but it was just like trying to find room and then like having too many expensive spells. It was hard for me to like justify having another card that could just potentially fizzle me out later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've established that you don't have enough ramp in the deck, so I don't really think you can cut any of that.
Definitely not. But like, here's the funny thing: a lot of my ramp's tied to my card draw.
Sure.
Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and go to my pick. I mean, it's not the best single target interaction, but it's fun, and I like the fact that it can't be countered. The card we're talking about is Banefire. It's X and a red, and it says Banefire deals X damage to any target, and if X is 5 or more, the spell can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. I mean, it's just simple, right? Like, just to get X to 5, I'm only paying one red plus 3. So for 4 mana, X is 5. No, for 3 mana, X is 5. No, it is 4. I don't know. I'm not mathing right. I didn't pay the math budget today. I'm tired. But like, just getting to 5 isn't that difficult to make it not counterable, but like a lot of the times this is just a player removal spell. Because I can make her into a 43 for nothing. Like it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. Right? So this can just be, oh, by the way, you're removed from the game. And that's pretty good removal in my opinion.
Can't argue with that. I did not put this on the list of win conditions, and I missed this one. But
the reason why I don't put it in the win conditions, it's only hitting one player.
That's right. It's narrow, right? Mm-hmm. Like because it's only hitting one person, but like it is player removal under the right circumstances.
Yeah. Alrighty, so now we're gonna dive into. I think this is probably one of the most diverse to like. Mass interaction. Now, to be fair, all my mass interaction deals mostly with just the creatures, but I think this is like I got to choose a lot of fun spells for the mass interaction here. It's not like the stereotypical. I mean, don't get me wrong, Blasphemous Zack in here, but like there's other cool ones, right? That I don't get to play with very often. So
they're also all damage based.
Yeah.
So like that is a bit of a downside, but you are in mono red, so what are you gonna do?
That's mono red for you.
Yeah. You can play all as dust if you want to, but it also hurts you. So
way more than I wanted it to, but it would only cost me like nothing.
It would cost you nothing.
So
right. My mass interaction is Call Forth the Tempest. This is an 8 mana spell. 5 of it is generic. So if our commander's on board and reducing it significantly, we could cast this as cheap as 3. So the Call Forth the Tempest 8 mana sorcery. It says Cascade. And remember, the number is 8, so you're hitting practically everything else in the deck, although there are a lot of X spells, so there's a little bit of a nombo there. But then the bottom half of Call Forth says, it deals damage to each creature your opponents control equal to the total mana value of other spells you've cast this turn. So it's one-sided, and as long as you hit a couple of things that you can cast, as long as you're not hitting X spells with it, which there are some, but there isn't really a lot.
There's like 3 or 4, I think.
Right. So I think percentage wise, high likelihood that you're gonna hit a couple of actual mana value spells, and really like the magic number in this deck seems to be 4.
Yes.
So like the 4 is way up there in terms of your curve. Like 12 and 19 of the cards in your deck have 4 in the mana value.
Yeah.
So like high likelihood you're going to hit at least 4 and then maybe 2 of them, so maybe this does 8, but again you also get to cast those spells, so this gets you advantage in terms of casting spells and then probably wipes out just your opponent's creatures, which is what the deck wants to do.
Well, so just this isn't Magic Christmas Land, right? So I spend 2 mana to bump my creature to make it into 5, right? And then cascade. So like, even in just that little instance, like it's probably going to hit 2 4-drops because, as you said, 19 spells have a 4 or more, like cost 4 or more, right? So just for complete averages, we're going to say 4, right? Because that's like my average curve. It's dealing 10 damage to each creature for 3 red. Plus I get to cast the other 2 spells too. So like now my storm count is ridiculously high. The only problem with this card is like eventually it's just like I'm dealing like 100 damage to everybody, and it's like, at what point do I stop calculating how much mana value I've done? Because if I'm casting this as like my ace spell or whatever, do I just say, okay, all the other creatures are dead now, or
It depends on whether or not it matters, and in a lot of cases it doesn't.
Yeah.
So the answer is probably not. And if you're casting it later in the turn, you are getting those other hits as well. There's actually 32 cards in your deck that are 4 or more. There was 19.
So
that
a
were
third of my
exactly
deck.
4.
Yeah. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. That's a lot.
So it's doing damage, is what we're saying.
Yes, lots and lots of damage. Okay. So the card I picked can be a win con in itself. Like it can kill, like it can get me to kill someone on the spot. The card I picked is Nova Flame. It is X, 2, and 2 red. It's a sorcery. It says put X +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. So one thing that I really enjoyed that I got to pick were the ones that says, hey, my creature gets to deal damage to everything else. And what I like about this one in particular, it buffs my commander. So like if I, for 2 mana buff it, so for 2 red, I'm giving it just a +1/+1 counter and dealing 6 damage to everything. That's not bad for 2 red. Now, a lot of the times I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to pump some mana into it to make it, my commander a 20/20 or whatever, and then just kill everyone that way, because it's going to kill the entire board on top of it. So there's not going to be a blocker in my way for my commander or whatever. Now, this does kill the rest of the creatures on my board too. So like this is a double-edged sword. So because like I only have 11 creatures, but the 11 creatures I have are really, really good for what this deck is trying to do. So I have to kind of plan accordingly. So this might be the spell that, starts off that turn. And then I'll play, my 3-drop into, more spells or whatever. So I really like this card. And it's also a new card. So I get to talk about new cards. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that it permanently buffs the commander.
Yes.
There's +1/+1 counters, which is huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
even like you said, the magic number being something like 4 or even like 3 counters or 4 counters, like getting your commander's power up to like 4 or 5, right? Is just remarkable. It really makes practically every card in your deck cost 1. So popping this off early in the game for like this, like you said, immediately into your commander into this on the following turn.
Yep.
X is, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters and does 4 to everything. So wipes out the board. Your commander's now a 4/5 or 4/3 for the remainder of the game, as long as nobody deals with it. So yeah, I like this card a lot. I think we'll see this a lot in red decks or red X decks as
for sure.
As another kind of cheaper copy of the other similar card.
Alrighty, so now
non-basics.
Yeah.
It's time. Segue. That's my thing. That's my job. I'm gonna segue. into the non-basics. Now that we've covered the basics, we're going to talk about the specific goals and card categories for this deck based on the commander and or archetype. I'm going to let Steve pick the 4 non-basic categories, tell us a little bit about those, and then we'll pick some cards out from them. So tell us your non-basic categories.
Honestly, it's funny because like I actually had a little bit of trouble picking my non-basic things because really I wanted to just be like non-basic 1, card draw, non-basic 2, because that's what this deck wants, right? It wants the ramp and it wants to draw cards. So I did kind of do that, but it's slightly off kilter. So the first one is to make my commander bigger. The second non-basic is cards that start the insanity. The third one is just great top end cards. And the fourth one was how to win. And it turns out we picked the only 2 cards that can do it. So you're to hear first, folks. Alrighty. So Tim, what's the card you picked to make the commander bigger?
So I like Reckless Charge here. So it's a sorcery, so it's slow, but you don't care, right? Like you don't care. You're not pumping. This isn't a combat trick. You're just actually making your creature, your commander bigger. Reckless Charge is just 1 red. It's a sorcery. It's a common. It says target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste. It also flashes back for 2 in a red, which is amazing.
It's so good.
Essentially, for 2 red, your commander gets +6/+0.
Well, no. So it does. I do have to pay the full 3 because it doesn't cost more than 4, unfortunately.
Oh, it doesn't cost more than 4.
It doesn't. Whatever. However, I have a lot of cards in here that say, hey, you can cast spells from your graveyard and their flashback cost is their mana cost. So
even just that rate of 1 red mana to give your commander 3/0 is again, you're getting that back in every other spell you cast that
turn. The very first spell that I cast that cost more than 4 is now costing 5 less. God, it's so good. No, I really do like this card. I have probably 4 or 5 effects. I didn't actually count that do 1 or 2 mana, give +3 whatever. 1 makes treasure, 1 exiles a card from the top of my library. There's small variations of it. And then I also like the one that doubles the power too. That one, because that has flashback, and it costs 6 for the second one. So the second one hopefully only is costing me 2 red. So it's like double for 3 red mana. Love it. Anyway, we're going to go to make my commander bigger. And this card is another silly common that's an instant. It is Pedal to the Metal. For an X and a red, target creature gets +X/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. The fact that this has an X in it is fantastic. Because I can... So this... You make X4, or you can make X3. So for only 2 mana, it's getting +3/+0 and first strike. But it's amazing how aggressive you can be with how much mana you have left. Because you could leave only 2 mana up after playing Pedal to the Metal, and I can still get there, right? Because I have other pieces that give me mana and everything like that. And there's just so much value that can be gotten. So, making X 10 is fantastic. And it's just such a good... And Pedal to the Metal makes all my other X spells that much better.
That's wild.
Yeah. I like it. It's so simple. It's a common. No one's ever heard of it. And there's a cute goblin just going really, really fast. They should have painted the whole thing red because that's what makes things go faster in Warhammer. I know it's a totally different franchise, but red's the fast button.
It is. Everybody knows that.
All right. So, Tim, what is the card that you said can really start off the insanity we call this deck?
So I wasn't sure what the hell you meant by this, so I just took your lead in terms of the card you chose and chose the card that did something similar. So it
Yeah.
seems to me like you were trying to get a card that is burst mana, that is trying to like really get you an enormous amount. And the card I picked here is Rousing Refrain. This is 5 mana. It's a sorcery. It says add a red for each card in target opponent's hand until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end, and then you exile it with 3 time counters on it. You can also suspend it earlier in the game for 2 if you choose to, which there's a world where you do that, I think.
Turn 2, I cast this. Turn 3, I cast my commander. Turn 4, like, or in turn 5, I'm just going ham.
You're just resolving this, right? Yep. So, I mean, again, with the commander on board, this only costs 3. So turn after you cast your commander, you're ripping this and probably getting 5 or 6 out of it. Maybe that's
what I'm usually hoping.
Grip if somebody's really doing well, if somebody else is doing well. So I love cards like this that kind of punish your opponents for doing well.
I know, right? Well, we've seen a Rousing Refrain get me like 20 something mana.
That's right, and this is this was in what, the Strixhaven precons we were playing.
Was.
So it was in your Prismari precon. Yeah, we saw Steve get 20 men off of this the one time because somebody had a grip.
One of the only reasons why I didn't do the red blue Scarlet Witch, because like I was like, I just did red blue. Let's see what I can do with mono red.
It's also kind of bad, if my memory serves.
I don't even remember exactly what it does.
But like, it's unremarkable, and it's not nearly as explosive as this one. So like, it kind of is an easy choice.
Yeah. Alrighty, so the card that I picked, again, it's just like the huge burst mana that just says, all right, I can go all day now. And the card I chose was Mana Geyser. It is 3 and 2 red, and I gain mana equal to the number of tap lands my opponents control. So now I'm just going to assume. So I didn't unfortunately get to play this in a game where there was other players. However, but like if I'm casting this on turn 4, usually on turn 4 everyone's using all their mana. It's a safe assumption. Is 12 mana for 2 red or 3 red okay? I think so.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think it's a I think it's a pretty solid spot. And the best part about this is a lot of the times when I'm casting specifically like Mana Geyser, since Rousing Refrain or Rousing Refrain, did I say that right? Yeah. Specifically with that one, that card gets exiled, so I can't cast it again, right? A lot of the times I'm casting this spell multiple times in a turn. Now after the second time it's exiled, but like after I have 50 mana, does it matter? No, I don't think it does. I think everyone's dead at that point. No. Yeah. So, this is just so huge. And it's one of those cards that punishes your opponents for doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, in the game that I was playing with you were holding up a lot of mana because you were holding up interaction, which makes this card way worse.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you do your thing, and I'm just going to do my thing really, really well. Thanks, guys. But yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. That this starts the when you're like, okay, for 3 mana, I'm going to play Mana Geyser, gaining 12 mana, and and everyone just goes, oh, it's a sign of a good turn. Right. It's a sign of a good turn.
Play more interaction.
I don't think Tim can stress this enough. I think Tim was going to have an aneurysm that night.
I was trying so hard to keep you in check. It was so frustrating.
Oh, dude. It
was such a fun game.
I was impressed because I was able to survive 2 like full graveyard removals. Like I had 30 something cards in exile, and it wasn't my fault. And I still was able to win. So that's what we were talking about, how this deck can be like really resilient. But anyway, you know what? This card is an older card, and I was really impressed with how much fun I had with this card. This card's great. Why don't you go ahead and tell them what it is?
Okay, I will. It's Finale of Power. This is an X and 2 red, and if you remember, there's a whole cycle of finale cards. They're all
Mm-hmm.
good. Some of them are better than others, like the green one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the red finale says you may cast up to one target instant card and or one target sorcery card from your graveyard, each with mana value X or less, without paying their mana costs. If a spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile instead. If X is 10 or more, copy each of those spells twice. You may choose new targets for the card. So for 12 mana, reduced by however big your commander is, for 12 mana, you're picking one instant and one sorcery and making 3 copies of each of them. So you're casting, essentially 6 spells, but 3 copies of the same 2 cards. It's such an enormous value. I mean, you hit that sorcery that we were just talking about. The tinkering spell is a
Mm-hmm.
sorcery, right?
Or yep.
Yeah, so inspire tinkering a big score. How would you like 3 copies of each of those?
Or just like, I don't know, hit the mother load.
Yeah, 3 copies to hit the mother load. Is that fine? Is
Discover
that good?
10 3 times and get all those tap treasures. Can't be good.
Yeah.
God, it's so much fun.
It's $1. It's and if you're playing in a big mana red, you're playing in a big mana red deck that cares about instances and sorceries like this one. Take a look at it.
Take a look. It's a good one. I really like this card. Every time that I saw it while playtesting, and I'm like, ooh, like I just
look at what this does.
Like it just gave me that maniacal laughter inside my head, and I'm like,
star eyes.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun playing this card. I am very sad that I didn't get to play it in the game itself, but that's okay. I didn't need to take up more of their time. Alrighty, so the card that I picked is a really fun card. And it's really expensive mana cost wise, but that's why we're talking about top end cards, right? And we're talking about Apex of Power. It says for 7 and 3 red, it's a sorcery, and says exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until the end of your turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way. And then, if the spell was cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any one color. So the color I'm choosing is red. And who would have thought? And it turns out drawing 7 cards. I use quotation fingers. Okay. And getting 10 red mana for 3. Pretty dope.
Yeah, how do you feel about copying that 2 more times because it costs 10 and you can hit it with Finale of Promise?
So I wouldn't get the mana.
You won't get the mana.
But drawing 21 cards does sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah, you wouldn't get the mana.
I wouldn't get the mana, and it makes me sad. Why would it need that clause, people? For people like me, that's why. All right, so we talked about some of the big splashy spells. Let's talk about how this deck can actually win. And the first time okay, story time. I was with my wife and we were getting couples massages, right? So I had a lot of time to think about this deck prior to just like putting anything in paper. One of the first cards I picked is the card that you picked, him, because I knew how good this card could be. So why don't you go ahead and tell what my fever dream of massage deck. That's what this is now, okay? I
feel like I got way too much information already.
Well, just tell us what the card is, and
the card is, now that you are all waiting with bated breath, is Chandra's Ignition. It's 5 mana. I'm glad that they reprinted this card a little, let it drop back down to a reasonable dollar amount, because this is a great card.
Oh yeah,
in a lot of lists. Uniquely great here. Chandra's Ignition, 5 mana sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent.
It says each opponent, people.
So get your commander big enough, cast Chandra's Ignition, wipe the board, and wipe the table.
Yep. Yeah, so when I cast Chandra's Ignition, really what I'm saying is just flip the table and then that's what happens.
Yeah, I actually think that there's definitely a world where it's not even your commander that gets it. Like if you have some of these other things that are getting
Yeah.
bigger and bigger, like the Vision and Scarlet Witch that are getting bigger and bigger on every spell,
Hmm.
like there's a very real world where you're hitting another creature with this, but the same end. Like you're
Right.
still wiping the
One
board
creature
and
is
the
going to get
table.
big somehow,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then I'm going to absolutely wreck house. Yeah, this card's great. I love this card a lot. I like the fact that it can be used in a smaller area, like a smaller creature, to just wipe the board. But I also like the fact that I can just be like, I cast Challenger Ignition and I win. Like sometimes it's nice to be able to cast one spell and just say, okay, my turn's over and I won.
It's nice. It's nice that it slots into as a mass interaction spell
Yes.
too. That it is like
Yes.
it's mass interaction early in the game. Wipes you target your commander and destroy everything that's not your commander, and then a couple of turns later you flash this back and then
Yeah.
actually win. Yep.
Yeah. Card's a good one. So we're gonna go ahead and go into mine. And I mean, if you watched the episode, you'll understand why. We're talking about Thor, God of Thunder. He is
It's your boy.
he's 3 and 2 red. He's a legendary creature, God Warrior Hero with flying. He's a 5/5, which actually was pretty relevant in our game. And it says, when Thor enters, exile target equipment, instant, or sorcery card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Thor deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. So now, I kind of want to talk about this card a little bit because one of the things that you should probably do when you're playing a card like this is you're going to kill one person, right? You're going to just focus down one person. Now, the game that we played, since we're playing for content, I didn't want to like immediately take someone out. So I'm like divvying up the damage. So what you should do is, the next 5 spells are going to kill you. Then go on to the next person and go on to the next person, because that makes like the problem that I had on my final turn a whole lot easier if literally there's only one person left, because then my Ignite Memories can hit just one person and hopefully they have spells big enough to kill them or whatever. So don't do what I did and spread the love. Kill one person, go to the next. Kill one person, go to the next. Like, it's a firing squad, okay? It's targeted interaction, but it's really just player and targeting.
This card is so good. It's like it's right in the sweet spot. It's actually not even that expensive right now. Go out and buy a few copies of this card. I'm not trying to shill for Wizards here, but like go to your local game store or online and go buy a couple copies. This card is so good. It's like there's so many different lists that are going to want this card. It interacts with equipment decks. It has like a specifically
really
good
cool
interaction with Mjolnir in the set and with any other piece of equipment ever. But it also does the instant and sorcery thing, so it kind of allows you to flashback an instant or sorcery. It's so I don't know. It like and actually like the way that this is worded, if you cast an instant or sorcery, it's going back to the graveyard because you're exiling it, you're casting it from exile, it's going back to the graveyard. So like it's
I
not
didn't
even
think about
actually
that.
flashing it back. So it's real, and that second line, whenever you cast a non-creature, damage equal to its mana value to any target, it's so
powerful.
you have to remove this. Like you have to remove this. It's gonna be
Ask Tim
it's
how he
gonna
knows
be
why he knows
it's
that.
gonna be in the 99 of so
So
many
many,
lists, and
yeah.
it is such a very powerful thing to have on a commander board. So pay attention to this card; it will ruin your day.
It sure will. This
Okay,
card is good.
that's the non-basics. Let's talk about some honorable mentions. We always gush for a really long time, and sometimes we forget to talk about some of the cards that are just fun and we like them, and and maybe they fit into the categories, maybe they didn't. One last opportunity for us to mention a card that we just think is interesting and fun on the list. So, what do you have in terms of honorable mentions?
So my honorable mentions, we actually kind of mentioned this card a couple of times. Yeah, it's a storm card. It is Ignite Memories. It is 4 and a red. Target player reveals a card at random from his or her hand. Ignite Memories deals damage to that player equal to that card's converted mana cost. Storm. Don't forget the triggered ability, Storm. So this card can whiff. It can target a player that has only lands in their hands. And the problem is since they all go on the stack at the same time, I can't be like, okay, this one's targeting you. Reveal. Okay, you're dead now. This one targets you. No, you have to divvy this up as evenly as possible. Or if you know someone has like expensive cards in their hands, you're going to target them less, because if I hit like 2 7-drops in your hand or whatever, you're probably going to die. So then I can use, more targets of this spell on someone else. Because I did cast this spell in our game, and I had a total of 10 copies of it, I think, end of day. So that sounds about right. And it didn't kill everyone. But it got the game close enough that it did kill everyone.
Yeah. It did. It did. Like, it didn't actually deal the fatal blow to everybody, but it did get everybody low enough that you were able to win. So, I mean, there is a variance to this card. It is absolutely true, but most of the time, and it's kind of the randomness of it that I find a little pesky. Like, I find
it's annoying. It really is, yeah.
Because it's like there's a part of me that's like, so I have to go through this motion of picking a random card out of my hand, however many times, and then revealing it to see how much damage it is. And as the person who's on the receiving end of that, it's annoying. So, like, yes, it's a decent win condition,
and there's really no good way to shortcut it either, right? Like,
no, not really.
I mean, I guess you could like have, like, if you have 6 cards, you roll d6 and you just have each one, and then you do it that way. It might be a little bit faster than shuffling and then picking one every time,
right? But then you're revealing your hand, right?
Well, I mean, like, I mean, obviously you have it face down, right? And then you just have your indicators or whatever, but like, it still takes time.
That's just a fussier way of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that actually shortcuts it. It just it's just a different way of doing it. So like it is a win condition. It probably belongs in the list. It
definitely belongs in the list for sure.
Burn it in a fire.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at him. It's Sweet Tooth. I mean, I didn't know they did a Twisted Metal crossover.
Yeah, they're setting it up in advance. Look at that.
That was all the way back in Time Spiral before Universes Beyond. They were ready for it.
They were. They knew we were going to do it.
Alrighty, Tim. Let's talk about your honorable mention, and it's a spicy one.
I don't think it is, actually. It's much less exciting, but I wanted to talk about this card because I haven't seen it in a long time. It used to be a standard staple, and it's a pretty fantastic mana generation that comes down before your commander, which is Runaway Steamkin. 2 mana for a 1/1 elemental. Whenever you cast a red spell, which is almost all the spells in your deck, if Runaway Steamkin has fewer than 3 counters, it gets a counter, and then at any point you can remove 3 counters to make 3 red. So it's kind of like jump up to 3, remove it back down to 1, and now you've got 3 red. Keep casting, do it again. Keep casting, do it again. So,
and when your spells only cost one red to cast, everything's free.
Maybe you're casting 3 more spells, right? Like, so every red spell is generating a red mana. So this down before your commander is very dangerous. And
that's what makes it so good, is because you can cast it on turn 2.
Yep.
Every time I saw this in my on turn 2, turn 4, I'm winning. It was almost guaranteed.
Yeah. That's why I think it's my honorable mention, is that this is the best case scenario of, if this is in your opening hand, you're dropping this on 2 with no artifact ramp, which you actually don't even have that much to begin with.
I have Soul Ring and Soul Ring,
Ruby Medallion, Fire Crystal, but yes, the extra planar
but lens. Fire Crystal's a red spell, so
right. Point being, you don't have a lot of artifact ramp, so you're casting a lot of red spells, and so you're probably just naturally playing something on 2, naturally playing your commander on 3, and from that point you're just going off on 4. Like, I mean,
I only have 5 colorless spells. So, because this is a red spell. So I only have 5 red spells, or 5 non-red spells. So it's getting bigger almost every cast. So, oh god, I love that card. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the cards to consider. Let's be perfectly honest. I'm not a perfect deck builder, so there's cards that I forgot. There's cards that I probably should have squeezed in, or I don't know. I should have probably put into the deck. So we're going to talk about some cards that aren't in the deck that fit really well in the deck. So Dan, what's the card you picked?
So I picked one, but I want to pick two. Can I talk about two?
You want to do what I do all the time? Unacceptable. Go ahead, please.
So let me tell you both of mine. I didn't put the first one. The first one's Monstrous Rage. Like Monstrous Rage. So it's 1 red. Its target creature gets +2/+0 and +2/+0 until end of turn, but also gives it a monstrous roll, which is a permanent enchantment token that gives it +1/+0 forever.
Oh, that's
and also
solid.
trample. So it's a 3 mana that gives it +3/+0 this turn, but then one of that sticks around forever. So I think that like this is high on my list of pump spells.
Yeah, that's really good.
Probably marginally better than some of the other ones, just because that monstrous roll sits around on it afterwards. So very simple low end upgrade. It's a cheap card. It was a standard staple for a while, then it got banned because it's too good.
Oh, and then it has trample too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that has trample too, which
that's
again
really cool.
might be relevant later if her power's getting super big and you're getting the trample through. So I think that that's a pretty solid one. And then the other one, the one I really wanted to talk about, is Crackle with Power. So I think the deck needs more win conditions, and this is an example of one that could definitely do it. Crackle with Power, 3x and 2 red. Crackle with Power deals 5 times X damage to each of up to X targets. So with the amount of mana value that this generates, you get your commander big enough, get enough mana, it is certainly possible to remove all 3 players with this one spell.
I mean, I guess for 2 red, and my commander's power is 3, it just deals 5 damage to 3 targets. Yes. Or no, 5 damage to 1 target. Then it would be... Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so let's not sit here and do the math because it does get a little complicated. But the point is that you can absolutely win the game with this card.
Yeah, I think the reason why I didn't pick it is the 3x made me nervous because one thing about like 1x spells is I can really control how much the spell costs, especially with my reductions. But again, there's points in times where my commander is like a 40 or whatever. So like this spell costing 40 less just says I win the game. So that makes a lot of sense.
It does. And we could crunch the numbers at some point and figure out what the actual threshold is, because I'm sure it's far lower than that. Because I mean, 5 times means you need to get X to 8. So you need 24 and 2 red.
Oh, that's not so bad.
That's all you need. No, that's it. That's all it takes to win with this card. 24, X equals 24. So if your commander's power gets up to 12, then you actually have 12 mana on the table, or 14 mana on the table. You win.
Yeah, that's really cool. I should definitely add this.
Makes it a lot lower than it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the 3x was like a scary thing, and it just makes the math way more complicated. And I was willing to like focus on, but no, I 100% agree. This is a really good card. So,
all right, what's yours?
Was Ignite the Future for 3 and a red. It's a sorcery. It says exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast those spells. May cast those spells. If this spell was cast from your graveyard, you may cast cards without paying their mana cost, and it has flashback for 8. So really, it says 1 red draws me 3 cards, and then for 1 red, I cast 3 spells. Hopefully, if everything's going right, seems pretty solid to me. One of the things that I was worried about was, quite frankly, it doesn't have enough card draw on the list. And that solves a lot of the problems. Especially when the cards get to cast spells for free too. But see, here's the thing. The cool thing is a lot of times I can cast this without even paying 8. Like even with, I mean, I have the spell flashback that says, gives a spell flashback and it mixes its cost. So for 5 mana, I'm doing this instead of 7, even if I don't have my commander. So, flashback's really good.
Yeah, it's solid for sure, and I think that I'm curious if you in fact do have room for even more card draw in the deck. What with as
I
much
always
as you've
have
already got in it,
more room
but
for card draw.
it is a solid. That's not true, right? Like you don't always have room for more card draw. If you're just drawing cards, at some point you need to actually win.
I know.
Maybe put more win conditions in the deck and a little less ramp.
Well, see, this will just cast the win conditions for me, okay?
Not if you don't have any.
Oh, shh.
This is like the perennial problem. Like, yeah, we don't talk about win conditions around here. A single counter spell and completely changes your game. Well, that's it. We're done. Let's wrap it up. Friends, opponents. You see, I break the rules and I become a hero. Zombie does it and he becomes the enemy. That doesn't seem fair.
But it's true.
Thank you, as always, for spending time with us on the Head Games Commander podcast. Remember, you can support this show and all of our other content by watching this and our other videos on YouTube. You can check the links below for a gameplay video featuring this commander, as well as lots of other fun stuff from Standard, from Brawl, from Commander. We love to make content and talk about fun cards. You can find all those links below.
But before we scoop things up, we want to hear from you, the think tank. What cards would you play in this Scarlet Witch deck? What commander would you like us to build next and spotlight in the future? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for playing along with us and have a wonderful day. I don't know if there's a special way to say this besides just disappearing. Bye.